Welcome, welcome. My name is Pamela Owusu-Brenyah. I'm one of the curators of Pop-Kultur Festival, and I'm super honored to be here on the panel with five amazing people who work in the music industry. I have to say, maybe I shouldn't start a panel like this, but this is, I think, the first time in Germany being on a panel only with Black people talking about the music industry. And I'm excited. Yeah, so today we're here to move also beyond buzzwords like diversity and talk about real representation, ownership, and building our own structures where Black voices and vision led the way. Yes, I'm honored that you have said yes to my invitation. And yeah, you as professionals, you really shape the future of the music industry here in Germany and beyond. And I would love to introduce you shortly, maybe starting on the left with Liz Agyeman, cultural strategist and senior global brand manager, who builds global campaigns at the intersection of music, identity, and community. Next to you is Teddy Danso Sarpong, founder of WhatsApp, a creative powerhouse uniting management, production, publishing, working with Grammy winners and global brands like Apple, Mercedes, Nike. Then on the right, we have Will McKinney-Raphelt, senior product manager at Sony Music Germany, who drives innovative campaigns for artists, for example, as a Brocky, Travis Scott, Thames, but also Tyler recently. And then we have Peggy Adamu, head of engagement marketing at Sony Music Germany, who supports artists in building authentic, fan-centered strategies across media and branding. And then we have Jack Sehn from the release management team, whose career spans from DJing, tool management, to develop artists like Kwame, Ace-T, and yeah, with a focus on long-term sustainable growth. Yeah, and together you are Ben. Ben stands for Black Entertainment Network. And we will be talking about your personal journeys, of course, of the mission and vision of Ben, and yeah, the challenges that you continue to face or you faced, which also led to the founding of Ben. And most importantly, how can we create sustainable change in the music industry? So, yeah, maybe we start with the question, what is the Black Entertainment Network?
I'll take that. So the Black Entertainment Network is a collective of Black professionals from the entertainment industry with an aligned purpose to create community for ourselves and to create opportunities for collaboration and partnership. Yeah, that's basically it in its infancy. We really just wanted to create a space for us to be able to gather and know what it is that each other is doing, knowing who is actually in the industry at all, and then finding a way to collectively come together, connect with each other, and create opportunities to work together.
And I mean, you decided to call it a network. Why so?
Because that's what we're aiming to create is a wider network. I can kind of give the origin story. It really just started with a conversation between me, Liz, and Jack. We were at the Spotify All Music Day, and I had just recently started at RCA, and I was just like, I'm working, artists like Wizkid and A$AP Rocky. I'm like, how can I help market Black artists here? What are the platforms? And we started to realize there really aren't any bespoke platforms for supporting Black musicians here in a real way. And then that led us to also connecting to Teddy, who was there in our conversation with Peggy. And collectively, we're like, this needs to change. We need to come together and create a network that allows us to talk to each other, to even know who is in the industry and who we can reach out to if we need to try to create certain visibility.
So basically, this like you answered three questions in one take.
Sorry. I'm a product manager. That is a bad habit of mine.
You're telling the whole story. Does anyone want to add something to, yeah, the idea of Ben and how it come into existence, and maybe also about your personal experiences that you made in the past?
We actually met through an artist project at Sony, and I think when we first joined the call, I we instantly clicked and also realized that there is not many of us. So I guess this also helped in helping shape this more. And I think also what is exciting is we're doing this in this region particularly, so we haven't had many opportunities for that. So if anything, I think I would add that.
Yeah, I think the good part was in our conversation that the team was like majority were white, and all of a sudden I heard this one word. I was like Aquaba. I was like, hold up, and then it was just like a normal Zoom call. You don't see no faces, and I was like, okay, I have to know this one person. So and then was like, I was feeling way comfortable with knowing that somebody who looks like me and has the traditional aspect as a with the musical background to place my artist in those places. I need to have her. So I was really happy about it.
Would you two like to add something?
One thing about Ben, we are focusing on the people in the back, not on the stage. So we would like to gather everybody in the back to help those on the stage. So yeah, that's one thing I would like to add.
Yeah, most things have been added. I think when we talk about the future of Ben, it's primarily really just to have a fixed base for Black entertainment, because usually there are stories told that do not look like us, but basically from our culture. And I think for Ben, it was very important that we don't just like um create a have a creative agency, but more so really build a strong network of people working behind so we can narrate and tell the stories on our own, and through that support the artist in the front.
Great. So I mean, I kind of decided to do this panel. We always, I think you all know that you sit on panels where it's a lot about your experience also as Black people in the music, about racism. And of course, we're getting tired about this, no? So I'm always like not waiting for people to invite us, but just if it's not there, and I think this is your approach, and that's why we're here, we want to empower, is to, okay, if it's not there, then we just do it ourselves. And I think, you have been now in existence since when?
So we started last year in 2024 around April, May. We're right now registering because again, all of us have like a solid 9 to 5 job. It just takes a little bit. But generally, yeah, I think Ben is officially over a year old now. Yeah.
It's not easy to build something new, to start something, to create something, to fund something, because yeah, there are a lot of people out there who will all say it's not possible, because it's not there. And I think it takes bravery to really say, you know what, we all come together. It's also not easy to work in a team, you're 5 people. And not saying that it's always a problem, but to come together, have one vision, have one mission, you need to find your people who you can actually work with together. So that's
And something else I can add, we took inspiration from the Black Music Action Coalition, which is based in the United States. Anybody who's somebody in the music industry that is Black is a part of this, from Sylvia Rohn to L.A. Reid to Courtney Stewart, who's the manager of Khalid. Um, Literally everybody is a part of this. They do programming during the Grammys every year where they are honoring Black musicians and Black executives. They're also doing advocacy work even at the government level and advocating for equity within the music industry, specifically for Black artists. So they are our North Star, basically.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. And you have already touched a little bit on what you want to do, what is your goal, but maybe could you give some like real tangible examples where you're like, this is what we want to create. Yes, you want to create a network, no? Understood. But maybe you, as you said, for example, there are people who are supporting at the Grammys or, having some events supporting only Black artists. So do you have something where you say, this is basically our goal and that are the steps in between?
We struggle a lot with like justifying events that we want to do or campaigns we want to do. It's always like, who is the target group? Who cares about that? Simultaneously, our culture is used. So I think for us, it's very important that we actually finally have data around who's there, who's consuming. And then with support of obviously the people already doing that. And part of that is actually creating like a lobby situation for Black people. I think what we always have is like white people always network that's the best thing that they could do. And I think that's part of the success. And for us, it's super important that, yes, networking is used, but we really want to use that for lobbying. Who has what? How can we support? How can we grow? And our biggest thing is we really, really want to challenge the economy in Germany, right? So like that's why you call it a seat as a table. For us, it's really important. We bring a chair or actually just build a table on our own, So that's kind of like the trajectory, the growth for Ben.
And the word network is just not a buzzword. We want to create a living ecosystem where someone can post and say, hey, I'm an artist. I need a lawyer. I don't know how to read this contract. Can someone help me? Or, hey, I have an artist who is, looking for funding for their tour. Does someone know something about partnerships? So those are what we mean when we say creating a network. It's not just an opportunity to stand around and have drinks. It's nice and to get to know people, but we want to create real work and real collaboration.
Which means you will at some point have more people invited to be part of your network.
We also want to bring more people into the industry, obviously, like, through young talents or even other entry-level roles. So essentially, if we can change the system from within, we can also reflect what's going outside. So yeah.
And yeah, how has the reaction within the German music industry been so far towards your initiative? I'm curious.
I would say overall quite positive. We get a lot of support. We've worked with, Will and I work at Sony. We got some support through Sony. We're also working with other majors. We're also working with like all different types of people that are very interested in supporting us. So I would say the reception overall has been quite positive. And I think also people are just excited that this is happening. So yeah.
I think we had the biggest challenges just recently. Again, going back to how our stories are told, it's very important to us that it's authentic. It's not due to hardship. It's due to empowering and really owning it because there is so much power within the network. So I feel like Peggy can just quickly. So like, yes, we have had a lot of positives, but we also had like negatives in terms of like journalists and trying to tell our stories. It's very important that it's quite sensitive.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, part of the Black experience. I would say it's always a bit of a challenge. But yeah, we're very particular about how we want to come across and what stories we want to tell. And essentially, that's also what we want to push more on like a overarching level with Ben to really have our stories told more authentically and also be very diligent about how we come across and how we convey ourselves. At the same time, we also want to make sure that if people are telling our stories, it's authentic and real. So if anything, I would say we're just very particular about how this comes across. And I think that's fair enough. It's our personhood, it's our stories and our history. So we want to make sure it's real.
I mean, and now understood, your network is also focusing on the people behind the scene, but then of course also you need basically like the artists that come to you. And I would love to maybe describe in your experience, because all of you have been working in the music industry quite some time now. Where do you see the ceiling for Black artists in Germany today? What limits still exist?
There's no ceiling. There are some
In
limitations.
Germany?
I'm learning. It's still hard out here, but just to put things into perspective, there's no ceiling. It's just a matter of time. So it's getting better day by day, and it's improving day by day. We can see Black artists gaining recognition and visibility in this industry. So I think, yeah, it's just a matter of time, and with the help of things like Ben, we can create an environment that will definitely help us. Yeah.
When you say it takes time, which means we are not there, which means there are limits.
Yeah, I said
Today,
it's still
which
hard out there.
hard out there. And maybe you would love to, like, you don't have to name artist name, but maybe you can say something about your personal experience. I know an artist in Germany who always wanted to do more Afro-pop music, Afrofusion. And when he talked to labels, they told him, no, better do hip-hop. That's where we have your audience and where people actually know that you're doing that. He really told him, no, don't do Afro. Like, it's not working in Germany. There are not people who look like you, who will buy your music. Just do hip-hop.
There are still people out there who try to put artists in boxes. That's true. But as I said, it's just a matter of time. And with things like Ben, you can find people that don't see you as a token or don't want to use you as a symbol or just to say, I have a Black artist that does hip hop. So basically there's no ceiling for Black artists. We just need to be patient and we need to come together and work on things work on things like good music, yes, and create hubs like Ben so that we can have a good infrastructure and have good representation.
I can say from my side, because I work exclusively international artists, there are definitely some limitations for sure. I think the biggest challenge, particularly on my roster for the African and R&B artists, there are 0 platforms in Germany that are featuring these artists, which is absolutely wrong. And it's not like these artists aren't selling out major venues. They're selling out bigger venues than certain German artists, but they don't have anyone talking about it. I go to my radio team and they say, unfortunately, they're very old school here. This is a little bit, it's not right for German radio, basically. So that to me is a limitation that absolutely needs to change. And you talk about creating your own spaces. That is a space that is wide open. And I say that in this room so that somebody gets inspired. To be honest, I'm too old to do it. I'm not going to do it. Like media platforms that are featuring these artists is, a major opportunity and table to be built. Germans are and are taking this music in. The clubs are full. They're playing African music in every hip hop club in the city. So to say that there's no space for it here is absolutely bullshit.
And it's so interesting because I once, maybe it was even last year, talked to a journalist who said that when you look at streams, the German market actually streams a lot of African artists. There's a lot of streaming going to Afropop, Afrobeats artists, but still on radio, you don't hear it. Radios will tell you, oh no, our listeners don't want to listen to it. But outside, people are listening to it. So that is a ceiling for me. That's, I think, also a misunderstanding of, maybe also the wrong, like, what means it's the same gatekeepers who tell you, who don't understand what's actually out there, and they're closing the doors all the time. So I think there is still things to be done.
And that's why, again, we always emphasize, again, that's why it's so important that we don't just work on a surface level, that we actually go down into the roots and take control, over the game, basically. Because if you have people in the radio or media scene who don't look like us and can't resonate all of the times, they will continue to gatekeep and they will continue to block. It might not be intentional, but it's always going to be the same thing. And I think as long as we don't change the narrative around that, it's always going to be hard. So the idea is definitely to open up the media industry, and that's how we say entertainment industry, because again, if we only change the artists, there are more Black artists actually coming up right now. I think I just saw a TikTok video where they're saying there has never been so many Black artists in hip hop right now. True, but it still doesn't feel from us, and the control over that is still not moved from the community itself. So yeah, long story short, this is another space that definitely needs to be targeted and needs to be changed.
If you look maybe at the Dutch market, or you look at the British UK market, or you look at the France market, you can see how far Black artists, but also artists with African roots, how far they come in France, UK. And we haven't seen that. And I wouldn't say it's because we don't have the talent here. So it's like, that's where I see a huge ceiling. I know in this country we have so much talent. We do music, but still we haven't really managed to and I think that's not the most important part, to head the German charts. But there's so much good artists out there. Why would we not be also on the top of the charts? When I look at France, UK, it's happening all the time. So
We have, let's say, 23, we started like 20 years ago in the music industry, yeah? A Black artist most likely should be rapping like English to be successful. Now it's like we have YC, we have Susala M, we have Reezy, we have Luciano, who's taken over the charts right now. And even if you watch TikTok, yeah,
absolutely.
doing the KDK, you have people marching over here to Bern and be like, hey, we're representing Cologne, we're representing Hamburg, we represent. So I think the time for Black artists is slowly coming right now. Yeah. And we have like Amapiano parties. We have like back in the days when you say Amapiano or African music in general, people be like, oh, we don't do this. Now you hear way more African music than even R&B or Travis Scott even. In Hamburg we have like big Afro beats parties, like they're going like 2,000 people inside, and you'd be like, okay, even as myself, I'd be like, what happened to Daniel Caesar, Travis Scott, to my R&B heads? And they'd be like, it's okay, you were probably the old head, yeah, but the time is now for African music and to represent Burna Boy, represent Uncle Waffles, and how many different artists we have. And I think right now, especially people like us, who was sitting like a year ago somewhere and was trying to get 10 people from the music industry together. I said 10 people, and we was like, I don't know, she's working, and now we have like a small network like with 100 people at least, and continue going. Yeah, so hey, there's a market and there's a place, and I think the time is starting right now. And Ben is is just one of many communities who've grown up right now.
I'd be love to talk about equity. Now, equity is often discussed as a moral issue, but what concrete economic advantage do you see when companies, for example, invest in new structures and networks like them? And I mean, the question in general is, I mean, we all need money to like run. So I guess maybe you're also looking for people who invest in your network. But yeah, that would be my first question.
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole equity conversation takes this like we want to have a seat at the table too. We want to have the tools to build our own table. So I think that's a good pivot here. And if anything, I think equity just shows that if people are willing to invest in order to make money, you have to spend money, as people say. You have more value in terms of the employees that work there, the perspectives. If we all feel more motivated and seen, I think we all put our best foot forward, and therefore the company's performance increases. And I think there is definitely like a revenue and profit aspect attached to it. And I mean, there's so many studies, I guess, internationally that also kind of, you know, found that out. So if anything, it's not a nice to have, it's a necessity. And also it's a way to be a sustainable business. So yeah.
Maybe you have one specific example where diversity and real participation directly led to more successful brand working, greater reach, or measurable.
I can just give an example to shout out my brother Brooke Demissy, who runs RCA Gold League. We were the #1 label last year, and he is not just at Sony, in Germany.
In Germany. Okay.
In Germany. And you know, he is a proponent of pushing as much as he can to find as much diversity within the artist roster. We definitely have the most diverse roster in the building, both on the international and domestic side. So I think, you know, that's living proof that, you know, the talent is there. You can't always go after the same thing. So
And team, probably.
yeah, the team as well. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Part of
He hired an American. Why he did that, I don't know. No, but yeah, also on the team, it's a very diverse mix of people from all different backgrounds that are sort of participating and contributing ideas. So it's really built a culture of, you know, really trying to push and achieve excellence, and we're doing that.
I mean, now you have a room full of artists, but also people who work in the music industry. Like, what wish do you have, or what do you want from them? Like, from us? Like, what do you need? Is there anything where you say, like, we need just, okay, that was, we
Money.
need support? And apart from that, how can artists who are also struggling support you? Like, how can we support you? What?
The main thing is obviously the world is bigger than Black, but we are only speaking from the experience that we come from and the fact that we know the artists that look like us deserve better in this country. So that's why we're pushing for this. So at a minimum, it's more so just trying to create more than what is already there, because for Latino artists, for Asian artists in Germany, everyone deserves a shot and opportunity, and creating more diversity does really help the industry grow. And so the biggest thing you guys can do is to support, to ask questions, to reach out and just say, you know, what do you guys need right now? We can't articulate everything, you know, in this moment in terms of what we need, but just know that building this table is really important, because it doesn't just help Black artists, it's going to help all artists, because our hope is that we're inspiring other communities within Germany who want to see themselves better represented in the music industry can also do the same thing.
You artists, you should keep going, because we are building a table, and if you stop, I think there's no need for us to build a table. So keep going, even though it's hard. So
Or keep on going and enjoying our table, you know? I mean, that's also what we need, you know, to like also become bigger. I mean, yes, we could maybe also go a little bit more into like the artist direction, but I feel like I think we are good. Oh, thank you so much for your openness and really like, I mean, sitting here, like really tell your story. That's always important, but it also takes bravery. And also, of course, thank you very much for the audience. Yeah, you so many people in the room. I really love that. Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, maybe a little bit about Pop-Kultur Festival. This is, you know, this year is a bit different than usually. Usually we were the last 10 years at Kulturbrauerei, and this is the first time that we have the talks on Monday and Tuesday, so separate from the live music. And yeah, thank you so much for being here and enjoy your evening.